Welcome back. All right, I want to talk about Rasmus Dahlin. I want to talk about Rasmus Dahlin because he is seen as the one untouchable. I had to give the cats treats before I started the video so they'd stop driving me crazy. So they'd let me do a video. I swear I'm the boss. Rasmus Dahlin, the number one pick in 2018, and when he was drafted, it was seen that he was going to be another Denny Potvin, and he may still be. Like, we may be looking at him right now in his third year and saying, what has happened to Dahlin? Here's the reality. He turns 21 on April 13th. He's 20 years of age right now. So he's not 21 yet, and there's already people saying, well, maybe it's time to trade him. I just can't see it. And while I can kind of understand the Eichel talk, although you're trading low on a guy who's making a lot of money in a flat salary cap, it's crazy to me, but Dahlin's seen as the one untouchable for Buffalo. And yes, he absolutely still should be. So his entry-level contract expires this summer, and that's where the question marks start. What is he worth? Like, what is he worth right now? Like, are they going to pay him based on his production this year, or are they going to look at his production over his entire career and say, you know what? He is still going to be our number one defenseman. He's going to get a lot of ice time. We're not worried about it. So I want to start off looking at the team and how the team's fallen apart. So his first year, they went 33, 39, and 10. They scored 226 goals, which was 24th best in the NHL. Allowed 271, which was 23rd. And that was the best number for them statistically. Last season, they went 30, 31, and 8 with the shortened season. 195 goals, which was 25th. 217 goals against, which was 29th. Fast forward to this year, in the division of death, they're 621 and 4. 66 goals for, that's 31st in the NHL. They've allowed 111, that's 27th. If you score the fewest, and if you're near the bottom of the league when it comes to allowing the most, you're nowhere near the playoffs. And so this is the quandary Buffalo finds themselves in, where they've been in this rebuild, retool, complete decimation for about a decade. And it's not going the way it's supposed to. This is where they're supposed to be getting better, and they're actually getting worse. So if we look at his numbers, 2018, 2019, 82 games played, 9 goals, 35 assists, 44 points. His plus-minus is a minus 13, again on a poor team. 21 minutes and 9 seconds average ice time. That is the highest ice time he's had in his career. We'll see, now that Kruger's out, whether or not his ice time starts going back up, and if that helps or hurts him right now. So last season, 59 games played, 4 goals, which I thought was low. I didn't know. 36 assists, 40 points. He ends up with a minus 7, his plus-minus overall, 19 minutes and 18 seconds average ice time. So he gets about 2 minutes less per game than he was getting the year before. 2020, 2021, 31 games played thus far as I'm recording this. They have another game tonight. 2 goals, 10 assists, and a minus 30. That number is just startling. His ice time, 20 minutes and 50 seconds per game. So again, we'll see if Don Granato uses him more than he was being used by Ralph Kruger. And if that helps, some defensemen thrive on more and more ice time. We're looking at Chabot in Ottawa as being an example of that. Give him 30 minutes a game. He loves it. Doughty in LA has made a career off playing as much as humanly possible. It works for some guys. And so we'll see if it works for him. Now, I want to talk first about the numbers when you look at the splits. So home and away. His first year, 41 games, 3 goals, 16 assists, 19 points. That's nice. His second year, so 2019-2020, plays 29 home games, 1 goal, 21 assists, 22 points. This year, 15 games played, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. His production goes up at home in the second year, and at the bottom has dropped out this year, comparatively speaking. For a defenseman, 12 points in 31 games isn't bad. For Dahlin, though, it's not enough. Away from home, the numbers are a little bit more encouraging, I guess. 41 games, 6 goals, 19 assists, 25 points in his first year, which was actually better than his home totals. 2019-2020, 30 games played, 3 goals, which was more than the one he scored at home. 15 assists, 18 points, so the points actually drop. And then this year, 16 games played away from home, 1 goal, 6 assists, 7 points. So he has 2 more assists in 1 extra game and away from home. The overall numbers, again, really, really down this year. And it is alarming when you see this, and it's a guy's third year. But again, 20 years of age. You need to kind of asterisk that. And it's easy to forget. He came into the league as a teenager, was playing over 20 minutes a game, and still got 44 points. He has elite level skill. He really does. It's just a matter of using it right. So if we go month by month, and it's tough because, again, we didn't have an end to the schedule like we normally would have had last year. And this year, of course, the schedule's been crazy, right? So in October of 2018-2019, 12 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. 2019-2020, he was a bull in a china shop to begin. 13 games, 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points. Yes, I have seen the Mythbusters about the bull in the china shop. I am well aware bulls don't actually, if they're in a china shop, apparently they just walk carefully through the aisles and they don't knock anything over. I'm aware of it. The phrase still sounds good, and yet I always get that Mythbuster stuck in my head, and I'm like, doesn't work. So 2020, 2021, that was probably the most surprising one I ever saw, which is, it's just going to casually walk down. Makes sense. It doesn't want to run into anything. But yeah, this year, the first month, which was January, right? So that's their version of October this year. 10 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. And Buffalo got off to a really, poor start, kind of, sort of. And then they have the COVID pause, which causes them only play 9 games in February. In November of his first year, 15 games, 1 goal, 9 assists, 10 points. Not too shabby. November his second year, 11 games, 6 assists. So October, November, which in 2018, 2019, and 2019, 2020 were very good months for Buffalo, they were also very good months for Dahlin. 14 points in 27 games in his rookie season, 16 points in 24 games in his sophomore year. This year, 9 games, 5 assists in February. So 19 games and 8 points for him through the first 2 months. Now, it does fall off as the season goes along, depending on which season you're looking at here. December, 13 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points. So it drops off from November. 10 games in January, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. And in February, 13 games, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. And then in March, 16 games, just the 4 assists. Before April, they had 3 games. He had a goal and 2 assists in those 3 games. So his production it fluctuates. And 18 years of age, it's remarkable he was able to play at all. Then in his second year, in December, 9 games, 1 goal, 4 assists. January, the exact same numbers he had the year before. January of this year breaks that trend. 10 games, 1 goal, 7 assists that month. February, 12 games, 1 goal, 7 assists. And in March, only the 4 games before the league went on pause, 3 assists for him. So he's playing well. And keep in mind, Buffalo was barely behind Montreal. And they barely missed being one of the teams that's actually, in the play-in round. And who knows how things might have been different if they'd made it. Kruger might still have his job if they had made that play-in round and then beaten Pittsburgh the way Montreal did. So this month, March, 12 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. There hasn't been a really good month for him. His rookie year, excellent month of November, excellent month of February, just from offensive points numbers. From that standpoint, his second year, October was really good for him. February, March, both of those months, his points per game were pretty high, comparatively speaking. This year, February, 5 assists in 9 games. That's good for a defenseman. But again, he hasn't really had that big month, and we're waiting for it from him. And the alarming thing is, and I talked about this in the review last night, is he seems to be having issues with some of the more basic stuff defensively. The defensive side of the game seems to be starting to get away from him, which is a problem because when he's drafted first overall, being compared to Denny Potvin was a complete all-around defenseman. Great in his own end, great in the other end of the rink as well, and just an all-around, he was a leader. He was an excellent defenseman for the New York Islanders for a long time. Dahlin was seen as being a guy who could emulate that. Now, when we look at his record against teams in their own division, so if we're going to make the argument of, well, look at the division he's in. All right. So, against the teams in their division and historically through his career, this year he's played 1 game against Boston, no points, and a -1. 2019-2020, 3 games played, 1 assist, even plus minus. 2018-2019 against Boston, 4 games, 2 assists, and a +1. So, very small sample size. Obviously, this year only the 1 game against Boston. But it shows that in the rookie year, he enjoyed playing Boston. Against New Jersey this year, 6 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points. But he's a -2. Last year, 1 game, 3 assists, and he was a +2 last year against New Jersey. The year prior, 3 games, 2 assists, and a +1. So New Jersey, good record against them 2018-2019. Excellent game against them last year, and this year it's been good offensively, but the plus-minus is still a negative there. New York Islanders, this year, 6 games, 3 assists. Not too shabby, but he's a -8 in 6 games because the Islanders routinely beat them 5-2. Part of the problem with this, of course, is when you're playing that much ice time and your team gets scored on, you're probably on the ice at the time. So last year against the Islanders, 2 games, 1 assist, -1. The year before, 3 games, no points, and a -2. Islanders, a bit of a problem for the Buffalo Sabres overall, and for Dahlin's totals. New York Rangers, this year he's got 2 points in 4 games, both assists, and he's a -2. Last year, 2 games against the Rangers, -3 against them. 3 games his rookie year, 1 assist, and he was a -2. So again, the Rangers, he's had problems with too. So this is kind of a pattern you can see, and this is, if you want to find a reason that you can say, well, Buffalo is historically bad, you can look at the teams they're against and say, yeah, these are all bad matchups for the Sabres. Philadelphia, 5 games against them this year, 1 assist, a -3 in those games. Last year, 2 games, 1 assist, and an even plus-minus. And in his rookie year, 3 games, 2 assists, and a -2. So again, Philadelphia, the overall numbers, there's some issues there, right? This year, 3 games against Pittsburgh, 1 goal. He's a -5. Was that all last night? Feels like it, man. There were just some bad breaks there for him last night, and even though he had a goal, still some bad breaks. 3 games, I should say, against them last year. 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. Easy for me to say. Even plus-minus. And then his rookie year, 3 games against Pittsburgh, no points, and a -1. Against Washington, it's been a disaster. 6 games, no points, and a -9. Buffalo and the Capitals, that is a matchup that heavily favors the Capitals. It's not close. And it's a big part of the reason how Washington's record looks as good as it does. 2 games against Washington last year, 3 assists, and a -1. His rookie year, 3 games, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points, and a -1. Those 6 games against Washington stand out, and they make a big difference. If he had good totals against Washington, it might not be quite as noticeable that he's not having a very strong season. Overall this year, of course, like I said, 31 games, -30. But when you look at this, and you look at it historically, in last season, 15 games played against these same teams, 1 goal, 11 assists, 12 points. So the same amount of points in less than half the games, and a -3, which is a little better than a -30. And in his rookie year, 22 games, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points, again, against these same teams, and a -6. So his rookie totals against these same teams are not that far off from this year's totals. The worst thing Buffalo could do right now is overreact. And it's easy to overreact. This is season after season after season of complete and total obliteration, it seems. And yet this year is just much worse than the previous 2. And, the previous 2 seasons, they got off to good starts and then it fell apart. They need to remember what got them to those good starts. And I think getting rid of Dahlin or even thinking about it would be crazy because he's going to bounce back. He's going to turn 21 soon, and he's still got a long career in the NHL ahead of him. He has the talent, he has the ability, and if the Sabres tomorrow said nobody's off limits, you can call about anybody you want, this is the player they'd get the most calls on, not Jack Eichel. And I love Eichel. I still think Eichel can be one of the 10 best centers in the league. He has not been this year. He's nowhere near it. But I think that's part and parcel of just Buffalo's complete misery this year. But Dahlin, I think he sticks around. And I think we'll remember this as just being his bad year. I'll do a career video on him someday and I'll say, yeah, 2021 was a bad year for him. That was just historically bad. But look how he bounces back in 21-22 with maybe 45 points, maybe 10 goals. He has the ability. He has the shot. I don't know if it's as much confidence. I don't know if it's changing coaches regularly that's knocking him off his game, what it is. But just something is off with Dahlin. It's been off since the start of the season. And, yeah, it doesn't help when you're playing against really, really high quality opponents every single night. And, you know, maybe if they were in the same division that they normally are, if they were in the Atlantic and they were playing Detroit regularly, they were playing Ottawa regularly, they might have a little bit more favorable of a record than they do. This may just be a series of just really bad matchups. And before this season started, I had anticipated some teams were going to have really gaudy records because of this tournament style we're having this season, and some might have really awful records. So what should Kevyn Adams do, and how much is Rasmus Dahlin worth this year? If you're the general manager, do you look at his totals this year and do you lowball him? Do you say, you know what, we'd love to give you a bunch of money, but your numbers this year are just awful. Here's a 2-year contract for $3 million a year. Take it or leave it, kind of like. Or do they get together with them and go, look, you're our future. We know you're a future. You're having a rough year. We want to make sure you're taken care of, and give him a nice, healthy contract with the idea that, you know, it might help him, you know, bounce back next year. He doesn't have to worry about contracts and money. Not every player that gets that big money contract or that extended contract ends up flopping on those deals. And I don't think they should be scared to spend money on Dahlin because the Skinner contract didn't work out or anything like that. I think each player should be a negotiation in and of itself. It'll be interesting to see what Dahlin gets. It's likely going to be a bridge deal. I just don't know how much that bridge deal should be worth, because this is a guy who, if he bounces back next year and does take that next step as a 21-year-old, need to keep saying that, then what? What happens then? How much is he worth then? So Kevyn Adams has his work cut out for him. But I agree with them that if there's one player that should be untouchable, it really should still be Dahlin. Some bad giveaways, some iffy passes, some bad coverage this year, but the ability is still there. The raw ability is still there. It's tough to give up on that. All right, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And again, how much does he get this summer? Again, I think it'll be a bridge deal. I don't think it'll be long term. How much do you think he gets? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.